Hi guys, today we'll read a new book. It's from grade 3. 3A, From Shore to Shore. First, we always have our content page. Next, let's turn to our first stories. Not a story actually, it's a poem. Let's read. My bed is a boat. My bed is a little boat. Nurse helps me in when I am back. She guides me in my sailor coat and started me in the dark. At night, I go on board and say goodnight to all my friends on shore. I shut my eyes and sail away and see and hear no more. And sometimes things to be I take as presents sailors have to do. Perhaps a slice of wedding cakes, perhaps a toy or two. All night across the dark misty, but when the day returns at last, safe in my room beside the fire and find my fast. Okay, now we'll read a poem. Poems. Not a poem, it's a story. We have read our first poem, and now we'll read our first stories. It's called The Sandcastle Contest. Cora and Emmy could hardly keep still in their seats. In Emma's hands there was a purple bucket and a yellow plastic shovel. In Connor's hands there was a blue bucket and a red shovel. They looked at the windows as they passed palm trees and tall wooden signs pointing the way to Crab Claw Beach. They had been waiting for this day all week long. Today they are going to have the sandcastle contest. As soon as that parted, Cora and Emma took off the seat belts and jumped out of the car. It wasn't long before their toes were in the warm sand. Emma looked up at the sky. A perfect day for sandcastles, she says. There's not even a cloud. Don't forget the sunscreen, said Mom as she tossed it to Connie. Usually, Connie did not like wearing sunscreen, but today he was too excited to think about that. When Mom and Dad found a spot for a beach umbrella and a picnic blanket, Paula and Emma raced toward the water to get the best sand. Soon their shovels went to work on dig up soft wet sand and dumping it into their buckets. Mom and Dad ate their lunch and laughed as they watched. Corey filled his buckets first and ran up the beach to find the perfect spot for his sandcastle. Emma filled her bucket and ran in the same direction, putting her sandcastle a little closer to the shore. Back and forth they went, filling buckets and shaped towers for their sandcastle. Corey made tower after tower to surround his castle. Then in the middle he found a large lookout tower for the center, which looks more like a big lump. Emma had a tower for each corner of her sandcastle, and now she was busy collecting shelves and driftwood for decorations and furniture. She had found a sand dollar and used it as a door for her castle gate. Then she placed the tiny shelves in the walls to make it look nice. By now, Connie's castle was quite large. He took a straw from a juice box and a napkin. from the picnic basket and made it into a flag. Then he called, "Done!" He stuck his flag into the highest tower. "Mine is the biggest," says Cora. "I think mine is the prettiest," says Emma. "How will you decide which one is better?" asked Mom. "They are both very good." Corey thought for a moment, then ran to the water. He stood there staring into the water for another minute. Then he reached down and grabbed something. "What is it?" asked Emma. "A hermit crab," says Corey. "It can decide for us." He brought the hermit crab up on the beach and set it down in front of the sandcastle. At first the crab only hid inside the smooth shell. When Emma and Corey are very quiet, it poked its feet out again. "How will the hermit crab decide?" asked Dad. He and Mom had come over to watch. Well, they all whispered so that they would not scare the crab. "The hermit crab will walk toward the home he wants to live in," whispered Connie. "That's how he will know which sandcastle is better." Then they watched as the hermit crab took a step, then a few steps. Then he took few more steps. Emma gasped, I think it's going toward mine." Then, after a few seconds, the hermit crab started as fast as it could all the way into the ocean. Mom and Dad, Corey, and Emma all laughed together as they watched it go. "I guess the crab likes its ocean home best," said Dad. Corey and Emma dusted the sand off their hands and finally ate the picnic lunch. The rest of the day, they took turns splashing in the waves with Dad and resting in the shade with Mom. After a while, the waves came up the shore far enough to knock both castles over, but Corey and Emma didn't notice. It had been fun making sandcastles together, and that was all that matters. Let's see. Now, to Smarty. Question. Okay, now I read you a poem of stories. The Present and Shipwreck. "All aboard!" cried the captain of a sailor vessel which was just losing from the wave to sail out to sea. There on the deck were a number of prisoners, guarded by soldiers. One of these prisoners was Paul, who had been seasoned in the temple of Columbus and nearly killed by Riptus mud for preaching and gossiping. 14 men had secretly voted not to eat or drink until they had killed him. Paul's nephew had found out about the plot, and Paul had been sent in the night with a group of soldiers to the government house in distant city. Paul said to the governor, "I want to have my case tried to Rome before the empire, for I am a Roman citizen." So Paul has set as a prison to Rome on a sailing vessel. Some of his friends sailed with him. One of belonged Christian, Dr. Luke, the man who tells the story in the Bible. Out upon the great Mediterranean Sea, the ship sailed until it came to a wall where there was a large wheat ship sailing to Rome. Paul and a soldier were put on board this ship. Counting the soldiers and passengers, there were 276 people in all. Soon, wind began to blowing from the opposite directions, forcing them to sail very slowly, but at last they came to fair havens, where they stayed much too long. The stormy season of the year had already begun. Paul said, "You ought to stay here for the winter," but the captain of the soldiers only made fun of him. Since the weather seemed fair enough, they pulled out the anchors, hoisted the sails, and sailed far from fair havens. They had hardly started from a terrible storm broke upon them, driving the ship far off its course. Seeming that the ship was in danger of breaking in two, they threw great ropes around it and hauled it together. Then they loaded the sails and vessel drifted. For 2 weeks they were tossed and driven by the storm, seeing neither the sun nor the stars. One night God sent an angel to Paul to tell him, "Fear not, Paul, you shall reach Rome in safety, and God will save all in the ship with you." Early in the morning, Paul said to the sailors and soldiers, "Be of good cheer, God will save us." But they mocked at him again. The ship drifted on until the darkness of the night. They found they were near an island. They quickly threw out 4 anchors to save themselves from being dashed on the rocks. They rocked there all night and waited for morning. As soon as daylight came, some selfish sailors plenty to load more anchors, but instead loaded a rowboat. They were getting ready to escape, thinking only of saving themselves when Paul saw the tricks and cried out to the soldiers, "Look," he shouted, "escape these men able to in the ship. You yourself cannot be saved." No one made fun of Paul then. Instead, the soldiers ran and cut away the ropes of the boat and let the boat fall into the sea to drift away. After they had eaten, they threw all their wheat overboard to lighten the ship, but it did not help. They decided to run the ship upon the shore, but the boat sucked the beach, and the steam was broken to pieces by the fury of the waves. Some of the soldiers cried, "Kill all the prisoners!" Lest they swam to the shore and escape. The captain and the soldier, who had grown to think much, Paul said, "No, let each man who can swim overboard and swim for the shore." All men began to jump overboard. Some swam to shore and some floated on planks and other things floating from the ships, but they all escaped safely to the land. So Paul the prisoner was right. The ship was lost, but God had saved it, all 266 men in the ship with him. Okay, now we'll read another story. It's called Smart Sea Turtles. Sometimes when people walk along the beach, they will come across a small square of sand that is closed off by tap and poles. This may seem strange, but the berry is there for a very special reason. Usually the area is guarding a sea turtle nest. These sea turtles look similar to land turtle, but their eggs are shaped like long flippers to help them swim to the ocean. Sea turtles have this turtle looks similar to the land turtles, but their eggs are shaped like long flippers to help them swim through the ocean. Sea turtles have slick shells that protect their hearts. Unlike other turtles, sea turtles cannot shrink back into the shell and hide. Their outermost skin is covered with black or brown patches, but the skin underneath can be yellow or green. Holding their breath for 5 hours straight gives the turtle plenty of time to rest and look for food under water before coming up to the surface for air. Plants that grow on the ocean floor make a good meal for a hungry sea turtle, but every now and then it likes to nibble on a few lazy jellyfish. What a painful snack. Jellyfish. The sea turtle lives most of its life in the ocean swimming and looking for food. Why does the sea turtle build its nest on the beach? Well, God gave the sea turtle special knowledge called instinct. This instinct tells the mother sea turtle when it's time to lay eggs. She crawls upon on the beach and finds a safe white spot to lay her eggs. Then she uses flippers to dig a hole in the sand, lays her eggs in the hole, and covers the eggs with sand so they will not be too warm or too cool. After she is done, she crawls back into the ocean, leaving her nest on the beach. What do you think will happen in the eggs? Is the sea turtle a bad mother for leaving her babies that way? No, because God gave the baby sea turtle special instinct too. When it is time for the babies to hatch, they poke and dig their way out of the sandy nest, and each little turtle crawls all the way back to the ocean. But do you know to do that, God built the knowledge into the baby sea turtle's brain so that he can live in the ocean just like his mother. God gives special instincts to his creation. People everywhere can look at the small sea turtle and wonder where it gets its knowledge. But we know the sea turtle's instincts comes from its loving and all-knowing creator. Okay, now we'll read another poem. Another story is called Harry and the Handmill. Once upon a time there was two brothers. Otto was very selfish, wanting to have everything for himself. Henry was kind, gentle, and always ready to do what he could to help others. When they grew to be men, Otto had a beautiful mansions and much populate. Henry was the poor man. He lived in a small house and worked it faithfully every day. Still, he was happier than Otto, for he always tried to do right. One winter, Harry became very ill. He could not do any work, and there was no money in the house. It was a difficult winter for him and his wife. Then they did not have enough food to eat, and they were cold because they could not buy wood to burn. Finally, Henry was feeling better, but he was still very weak and not able to work. It was Christmas, and the poor man did not have anything in his house for Christmas dinner, and his wife was very hungry. I will go and ask my brother if he will give us something to eat, he said, and went on his way to Otto's house. When Otto saw him at his door, he was angry. He did not want to give him anything, but it was Christmas, so he could not say no. He threw a ham at his brother and said, "Take that and go away." Henry took the ham under his arm and started on his journey home. He felt very sad. He traveled along slowly. Soon he came to a forest where he saw an old man chopping wood. "Good evening," says the old man. Good evening," says Henry. "What a fine ham you have," said the old man. "Where did you get that?" Henry told the man all about his poor life, about his rich brother, and about the gift of the ham. "It's a fortunate that you have met me," says the old man. "Take the ham to the place to tell you about, and soon will gain much wealth. The people there like ham very much, but they do not have it where they live." "Where is this island?" says Henry. "I will tell you," says the old man. "Do you see that large oak tree?" "Yes," says Henry. "There is a stone under the tree. Under the stone is a door. Open the door, and it will take you there." Do not sell the ham to the people for money, said the old man. Tell them that you will trade it for the old hand mill that hangs behind the door. When you get this mill, bring it to me and I will show you how to use it. Henry thanked the old man and traveled on. He found the stone under the tree and he pushed it away with all his might. Sure enough, under the stone was a door which led him to a land the old man had described. There he saw the man, and as soon as smelled the ham, they came running to him as fast as they could. Please sell us some ham, they cried. Sell us some hams. They all gathered around Henry, pushing and crying. Yes, here is some money, they cried. Give us the ham. I do not want money, says Henry. I want the old hand mill that hangs behind the door. Give him the mill, said the king. It is worthless to us. We don't know how to use it. Henry gave the people the ham and he walked away with the Union's hand mill. His stomach growled as he walked through the door once again, and he wondered if he had been wise to trust the old man in the wood. After a while, he found the old man again, and he taught Henry how to use the mill. Then Henry was excited, for he realized what a treasure it had been received. He ran home as fast as his weak body could run. When he burst through the door, his wife was so glad to see him. She was hungry, for she had not had any dinner. She was cold, for there was no fire. What did your brother give you? She asked. Only a ham, he said with a smile. A ham, how wonderful! Where is it? Asked his wife. I sold it to the man, replied Henry. What did you get for it? She asked. I got this old hand mill, says Henry, and he held it for her to see. His wife was so cold and hungry that she began to cry. Why did you keep the ham? We are starving. Henry did not want to upset his wife any longer, so he put his hand mill on the table and began to grind it. Grind a dinner, he called out to the mill, and just like that, the good things began to pour out of the mill. A ham, fresh fruits, potatoes, pudding, so many things that the man and his wife could not eat them all. Grind a fire, he said to the mill. He turned it out. Came a warm, crackling fire. Grind a table. Grind a tablecloth. Grind spoons. Grind some forks. Grind some knives. Grind some dishes. Out the mill came everything he had asked for. Grant a new house, says Henry, as every time before he realized was granted. Out the mill came a beautiful new house. All that the man and his wife had to do now was ask for something, turn the mill, and came out that they wished for. When they had everything they described for themselves, they told the mill to grind for other people. It's ground up food for hungry people, and if they needed clothes, the mill granted that for them as well. The good mill worked all day. It ground fires, lights, food, clothes, shoes, and stockings for those who needed them. When the next day came, the kind man said to his wife, Let us have a great feast. We will invite all the poor people in the country to come and have a fine dinner. Yes, we will, says his wife. So the mill grand a fine dinner for them as they set for all the poor people. There was plenty of food. How happy everyone was, but there was one man at the feast who was only thinking of himself. He was not poor at all, but he wanted to see the mill. I wish that mill were mine, he said. I would make it green salt, and then I would become very rich. While everyone was happy and feasting, the man stole the mill and fled to his ship in the harbor. Green salt, he said to the mill. The mill did Just that it ground and ground until the ship was plenty of full salt. The man did not know how to make it stop. It ran, he cried, enough, enough! We have enough salt, but the milk screamed faster than ever. The storm made the ship so heavy that it sank to the bottom of the sea. Some people said that the milk is down at the bottom of the sea now, still grinning salt, and that is why the sea is salty. Okay, this video is end here. Bye guys.